Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from Group 4. We will explain about cooperative learning, contextual teaching and learning, and then communicative language teaching. Cooperative learning. Cooperative learning is the model of learning that consolidates the students into each group and collaboration between other groups. In this learning, students and teachers have a crucial role. Cooperative learning adapts the theory of social constructivism. Theory social constructivism agrees that individuals make meaning through the interaction between themselves and the environment. There are principles of cooperative learning. The first, have positive sense of interdependence. The second, can get promotive interactions. The third, can have individual responsible. The fourth, have interpersonal skills. And number 5, there is a group process. Based on the principle of cooperative learning, we can conclude that cooperative learning aims to improve students' value and students' social skill, and then learn students to respect each other. The technique of cooperative learning. This technique usually used in cooperative learning based on the relationship between subjective content, context, activities, learning, and lesson objectives. The technique is number 1, the numbered head together. Number 2 is STAD, or Students Team Achievement Divisions. Number 3 is think pair sharing, and number 4 is jigsaw. This is the steps of cooperative learning. So when we want to use cooperative learning, the first step we must do. Teacher conveys the objective and give students information and motivation about the study. And then teacher explain how to make a group, and then teacher arrange their students into each groups. And then teacher guides students study groups as they work on assignment and facilitate their work. And then teacher evaluate all of students' works. Evaluation here has function to evaluate students' work, because we know not all of students can answer the question right. And then the last is appreciation. Appreciation here is the teacher give appreciate or the teacher appreciates the students' works, like give score on their work. But it is good if teacher can give two types score, that is individual score and group score, because many teacher usually only give group scores.
Communicative language teaching can be realized as a proponent the goals of language teaching. Communicative language teaching is an approach to teaching language which is defined many rights. The characteristics of communicative language teaching as follows. Communicative language teaching focus on the classroom goals of on all of the components of communicative competence, and language technique are created to develop the aspect of language. And then the main principle of communicative language teaching are fluency and accuracy. And next, the learner uses the language not only inside the classroom but also outside classroom. And learner learn the language with suitable strategies. And teacher is important in language teaching as a supervisor. Communicative competence. As I mentioned before, communicative language teaching can be realized as a proponent the goals of language teaching. Communicative competence is the purpose of communicative language teaching to develop the procedures of teaching language ability such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Communicative language teaching have a syllabus also, and communicative language teaching syllabus is preparing of language course, including the content of the course of our language teaching procedures about language and communication skill. And then communicative language teaching activities. The first is information gap activity. This activity requires the learner to choose or to complete the missing word by discuss with other learner. And then the second is task completion activity. This activity used to increase the learner ability in language. This activity used to increase the learner language skills using task completion such as puzzle, games, and map reading. And then information gathering activity. This activity requires the learner to gather the information that that explained in the form, in the some form or in the one form, and then the learner represent the explanation into the another form.
Teaching and learning. Okay, first the definitions of contextual teaching and learning, or we can say CTL, is educational process that aims to help students see meanings in the academic subject with the context of the daily life, that is, with the context of their personal, social, and cultural circumstance. And then for the applications of contextual teaching and learning, there have 7 components. First is constructivism. Constructivism is the process of putting or compassing new knowledge in the cognitive structure of the student based on the experience. The second is inquiry. Inquiry means the learning process is based on the search and discovery through the process of the thinking systematically. And then the third is questioning. A person's knowledge always starts from asking. Principle that we must consider on the learning related to the asking competence, among others, extracting informations and confirmations of the has been more effective when done through the asking. And number 4 is learning community. A problem cannot be solved alone, but requires the help of others. So the concept of the learning community suggests that the learning outcomes obtained from cooperation with others. And then number 5 is modeling. The component suggests that certain skill or knowledge learning use model that student can imitate. And then next is reflections. Reflections is the most important component of any learning by thinking back about what has been done in the past. And then the last is authentic assessment. Authentic assessment is the process by which lecturers collect information about the student learning progress. And then contextual teaching and learning has some characteristic while the process. And then the first is activating knowledge. It means that what will be learned is inspirable from the knowledge that has been learned. Those knowledge that will be obtained by student is complete knowledge that is related to one another. The second is acquiring knowledge. The new knowledge is acquired in a deductive way, meaning that learning begins with studying the whole, then paying attention to the details. And then the third is understanding knowledge, meaning the knowledge obtained is not to be memorized but to be understood and believed. And then practicing this knowledge and experience, applying knowledge means that the knowledge and experience must be applicable life, so the change in student behavior appears. And then the last is reflecting knowledge on the knowledge development strategies. This is done as the feedback for the process of improvement and development of the strategy. And the several backgrounds about contextual teaching and learning. First is learning is not memorizing, but the process of constructing knowledge according to the experience they have. Learning is more than just collecting those fake. Knowledge is basically an organization of everything that is experienced, so the knowledge process affects human behavior patterns, such as the thinking patterns, acting patterns, and the ability to solve problems. And then the third is learning is a problem-solving process to make a children develop in a full, not only in intellectual development, but it's also in the mental and emotional development. And then learning is experimental process itself. that develops gradually from the simple to the complex. And then the last is learning is essentially capturing knowledge from reality. Therefore, the knowledge obtained is knowledge that has meaning for the children. And the last about contextual learning and teaching is their steps. The step for implementing contextual teaching and learning in the classroom so that learning can be carried out are by first is develop the idea that children will learn more meaningfully by working alone and contracts their own new knowledge and skill, and then carry out inquiries as far as possible for all themes or topics, and then develop student curiosity by asking questions. And the next is create a learning society or learning in groups. Next is present the model of the example of learning, and then reflects at the end of the meeting. The last is make the actual assessments in various ways.